Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I don't have to say this, but I think it bears repeating. Your heart needs to be taken care of. And there's so many different ways over the years you've heard of it when it comes to nutrition, exercise, proper sleep, and all of that. How does heart health look when we view it from the lens of herbal? Master Herbalist is with us today, and we're going to look at that. More of a holistic approach to your heart. And she is somebody who is a master herbalist and has a great business called Herbs for You. And she's Willis. Amy Willis back with us today. How are you?
Yeah, doing great. I'm glad to be with you again.
Yeah, awesome to have you here. And there's studies that come out all the time about the heart. I remember, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, it was about dental health and how that impacts your heart and how you have to make sure that you take care of your teeth.
Yes.
But on the herbal side, not a lot of us know or hear about what we should be doing in terms of our heart. So I'm really interested to see where we're going to go with this today.
Okay, sounds good. So there's a lot to cover when it comes to the heart, okay? Because, it's there's just a lot involved. So we want to look at it from a few different dimensions, okay? And I'll go over some things that I have found in my practice over the past 12 years, and then some other, common things that we think about, okay? So how is it detected? What is the cause? There's different variations, okay? So yeah, diet plays a role, but stress plays a role, okay? So, and there are several herbs that can be used to help in whatever situation it is. And it's not always just, oh, we got blockage, you got a poor diet, too much fat. That is part of it, but that's only part of it. That's not all of it, okay? So I want to preface with, I had a dear friend of mine, and she worked in the heart hospital. She was a nurse. And she had a massive heart attack and she passed away. Okay, just like that. And we didn't even know that something was wrong. Okay, then I had another, a client, but also a contact, a homeschool mom, and they had several children. And her husband wasn't feeling that well, and for a few months, and he had gone and got an exam. They couldn't find anything. And then one day he just stayed home from work because he was so tired. On the next thing, and he just was reading or sitting in a chair relaxing. The next thing you know, the wife came in and he was dead. He had a heart attack and passed away. Okay. So, so the thing with the heart is that 1/3, the symptom of heart problems for 1/3 is death. Okay, so that's the first symptom that they have. And that's not a good thing. Okay. So we want to avoid that. There are warning signs that we need to listen to so that we can avoid it, and then just be proactive in taking care of our heart. So with that being said, why is it? Here's a RN that worked in the heart hospital. Why didn't she find it? Why didn't they find it? Here's a man who had just had a health checkup and was going to the doctor to find out, what's going on, and nothing was found. Okay, so there's another aspect. There's also my own experience. I've had heart issues, okay, and heart pain, a lot of pain. I believe I've had 3 mild heart attacks. 2 were more on the mild. The third one, I was in bed for about 5 days afterwards. And so before I had the third one, I had gone, I was wondering, what's going on, because I had a lot of stress in my life. I was actually going through, issues at home and ended up getting divorced. So I had a lot of stress in my life, and a lot of heart pain for, several years, at least 3, if not, I would say a total of maybe 5 or 6 years, but at that time, so there were a lot of things that I had to do, and then I ended up going to the hospital. I just wanted to see if they can find it, can you find what's wrong here? And no, they didn't. Okay, did the electrocardiogram, and you're doing all that stress testing and everything's fine. Okay, so of course, in my own self, I did more study because something isn't right. Can't just say, everything's fine when you're having all this pain. Okay. I was being proactive and taking my herbs, doing what I could, but when there's a lot of stress in your life, it does affect the person's heart. Okay. So, what I have found, so through muscle testing, of course, myself, muscle testing other people with heart issues, I have found that the things that affect the heart the most are, now this is outside of the box, like, high fat diet, poor diet, and the arteries are getting clogged. Okay. It's going to be parasites and emotions. Those are the two things that affect the heart the most. Okay. So then we have to look into what are we going to do for that. Now, the interesting thing is the herbal book that I sort of started me off on this journey is called Back to Eden, and he's an excellent herbalist that had his own clinic and saved people's lives and so forth. But he went on about the heart, and he does deal with the diet side of it, and that is a big part of it. But there's also the emotional side and other side that we have to deal with. So he put together, he has this different, do this, herbals, use these different herbals. The interesting thing is that those herbs that he recommended for the heart also are herbs that are used for emotions and mental health. Okay. So whenever we deal with the heart, we want to look into that. Now there's the other side too. So there's emotional, I believe I spoke on the triad of health. And there is a triad of health. Let me get my diagram here in just a minute. I'll show you that. And this will help a lot of people if you visually see this. So it's called the triad of health. Is that okay? Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is the triad of health. The base is the biochemical. Then the two sides are the structural and then the emotional mental. Okay. And then in the center is total health. So we have to work on all three components. If one of them is lacking, then we end up with a health issue. Okay. So this is the triad of health. Now, what does that mean? So practitioners are divided into these three categories. Okay. So with the base, where the biochemical is going to be what makes up our chemical composition. So that's going to be doctors, nurses, herbalists, naturopaths. Okay. Structural, that's going to be, the chiropractors, physical therapists, massage therapists, and so forth. The mental emotional are going to be like the counselors, psychologists. There's a lot of mental emotional awareness now. And then there's different ways to help with that. Okay. So if that part, so we can be working on, doing a whole lot with the biochemical or with the structural, let's see, structural over here. And if we neglect this side, we're still not going to have total health, and it's going to affect us in different ways. So we have to deal with that side. So along with that is, okay, there are studies out there that show that there's emotional connection with our different organs. Okay, so the emotional for the thyroid is grief. Okay, the emotion for the thyroid is grief. The emotion for the heart can be, there's different ones, but anger, forgiveness, compassion, grief is affected. So now my nurse friend who had passed away from a heart attack, she said every time a client comes in for heart issues, they always check their thyroid. There is a connection between the thyroid and the heart.
Now, when you say check the thyroid, is that through lab results?
Right. Just regular, medical ways of looking at the blood and checking the thyroid, because how that affects the heart. Okay. So, so I went into all of that to say, let me get my, so I put together, I formulated this calm heart formula. Okay. We're starting to get some good results with people doing this instead of drugs. The herbs in this, I'll read them off. Valerian root. Okay, so that is one that people use. It's like a sedative, and it helps you sleep better. Okay, skullcap. Skullcap is a mental herb. Okay, it's for the brain, and it also helps, if you have racing thoughts and you can't get to sleep, it helps stop those racing thoughts. Okay, and then motherwort. Now, motherwort is a specific heart herb. It's one that when you say, give me herbs for the heart, that's one of the ones that comes on the list. St. John's wort. Most people know St. John's wort, as for depression and anxiety. And the studies on St. John's wort show that it is gives equivalent results for depression as other antidepressant drugs. Okay, and then cayenne. Okay, those are the herbs in this calm heart formula. So this deals with the emotional, nervous, mental part of the heart problems. Okay, so this is a good one. I'm going to go over a few different remedies that I have here. So this is a very good one for a person. And I will also mention, with my clients, now of course with myself, I never went on any herbs for any drugs for my heart. I just went with the herbs, did what I could. There were other things that I did because it was serious. So the last heart attack, now I call it a heart attack. It hasn't been clinically diagnosed, but I think I know my body well enough to be able to say. And with heart attacks, it's not like, oh, boom, you have it, boom, you don't. It's progressive. It starts and then it can go on for hours until you have the actual heart attack that drops you, okay, or kills you or whatever, okay? So, I'm sort of thinking, where was I?
Well, I do have a question based
Yes,
on medication versus herbal remedies. Let's say that somebody is diagnosed with some high cholesterol. Maybe it's like borderline. And let's say the doctor is suggesting, hey, let me put you on a med. Maybe you don't want to go on a med. Is there a herbal solution for that?
I'm glad you brought that up. That's a very important subject. Okay, I have many people with drugs. They're on drugs. They're on the statins. They're on, a half a dozen drugs, at least 3, for the heart itself. Okay, now I want to explain about cholesterol, because we have to understand what's going on to give an adequate and accurate remedy. Okay, so high cholesterol is the symptom of a problem. The problem is inflammation. Now that's like the problem here. We got to get down here. Okay, inflammation is a problem. So what is inflammation? Inflammation is like all kinds of glass throughout your body, just little tiny pieces of glass floating throughout your body. That's inflammation, cutting you up, destroying and wrecking you. Okay, so yeah, that's scary. So the body is for survival, and so the body makes cholesterol, which is all waxy and and then it coats all this glass and buffers it. So now the glass, inflammation in your body, is bumping around but not hurting you. Okay,
but
and that can cause clogged arteries and different problems. Yes, I understand.
it's almost the same thing when you have digestive issues. Let's say you have a reflux, and then you feel like you're bringing up mucus, but you don't have any congestion, and that's your stomach's way of protecting you from the acid, the excess acid in your stomach. And it seems kind of the same way. That's the glass that's just there,
Yeah,
coating.
Right. Very good point there.
Coating to protect.
Right. So then we have to understand that the cholesterol is actually protecting us. Okay. So the problem is the inflammation. Let's get that inflammation taken care of. Okay. So then we get into what's causing the inflammation, and we go back to the 5 things that I mentioned: bacteria, virus, parasite, yeast, toxins, and heavy metals. Okay. So those are what we have to get rid of in the body. Okay. So now there's other studies. So according to another doctor, Dr. Mercola, who is very well researched, and he researches things a lot, says there's hardly any time when you need to have cholesterol. Okay. So they've done studies, and a lot of medical doctors do not have these studies. They're busy seeing patients. They don't know of these studies, but the study is basically what was done is they had a group that had high cholesterol, okay, and didn't take drugs, and then they had a group who were on cholesterol lowering medication. Okay, so their cholesterol was down, they were on the drug, and the ones who were on the high cholesterol lived longer than the ones who were on the cholesterol lowering medication and had lower cholesterol. Okay, so the reason for that is like what I said, the glass. Now they died quicker than the high cholesterol people, but they didn't die from high cholesterol. They died from other things, okay? Because it's that glass in there wreaking havoc in the body that's going to kill them, okay? So according to other alternatives, there's no, statins are not to be, okay? There's only very rare cases of genetic issues that some people have to be on it, okay? Now, the other thing as a forewarning too, is that if a person is on a statin drugs can cause and lead to diabetes type 2, okay? So that's just another drug that they might have to be on. So let's get back to the heart here. So I hope I answered that question. So what we work with, so with like my clients, I don't tell them to get off of drugs. That's their own choice. Okay. But I explain things. And then I also, through muscle testing, can test the drugs. Okay. So I've tested many drugs for the heart. They bring, usually in their second visit or their third, I'll have them bring their drugs, and then we'll test them, muscle testing them. Okay. And as far as heart drugs go, most of them, I would say 99%, 98%. I want to say 100%, but I might be mistaken because I might not remember all of it. But they all hurt the heart, all of them, just about all of them, from what I remember. So if their numbers are higher, meaning they're stronger, their heart is stronger. Like let's say it's a 20. Then when I test it with the drug, now it drops it down to a 12, meaning that drug is weakening the heart. Okay, so now what we have to understand that there's the conflict. Okay, the conflict with herbs, and maybe I already mentioned this, drugs. Okay, there is a conflict there. Okay, now here, and I tell my clients, okay, so they're on like half a dozen drugs, and I say, okay, so you're taking all these drugs. What would happen if I took them? Because I'm healthy. What would happen if I took them? And then they think a little bit, well, you'll probably have some problems. Yes, I would, it could kill me. It could kill me. Okay. That's why they're prescription drugs. You can't take them without a prescription because they're dangerous.
Well,
okay?
From what I'm hearing from you here is that if we're going to do any kind of herbal solution, you have to absolutely, if you're on medications, absolutely make sure that it is they're compatible.
Right. Well, so that's what I want to explain here. So the compatibility is actually the herbs and the health measures that you're going to do is going to make you healthy. Okay, it's going to make you healthy. When you're healthy, like myself, if I'm healthy and I take those drugs, it's going to affect me and I'm going to have problems. So when these herbs start to make the person healthy, and if they still take the drugs, there's going to be problems. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one of the main conflicts. It's not that the herbs are unsafe, because all of the herbs, just about, not totally, but just about all of them, a healthy person could take, because they bring healing. They just help your body better. Okay, now there's ones that are more specific that no, you don't want to take it. Okay, so that's one of the conflicts that we have. But so when we start, and then my clients understand that, they're still on their drugs and it's fine. They need to be. They can't just get off of their drugs right away. So I had one man, he had myocarditis. He had gotten it. He says he got it because he got the COVID shot, because that's when it happened. And he was in the hospital for a while, and then of course they give him a whole bunch of drugs. And so he was on that, and then he came. And then it took a while, but he was able of his own accord to get off of all of the drugs. Okay, but it took a while, because he had tried before to get off, and then his symptoms and palpitation and different problems came back. Okay, but as we worked slowly and steadily, his heart recovered, and we can, through muscle testing, we can find out how better it's getting and so forth.
Can we talk about that for a second there?
Yes.
The muscle testing. What can that tell you? Like, if you muscle tested yourself when you suspected that you had some issues going on, could it have told you, yeah, you know what, there's something going on with my heart, there's something I need to be mindful of? Would you have known through the muscle testing, or it's kind of hit or miss?
No, I can test my heart. I can test people's. I do test my heart. That's part of my program. I test on the major glands and organs. Okay, and then I give them a number, a rating. Usually when people come in, the rating would be on a 1 to 10. Okay, so the lower the number, the weaker it is. So each, I'll test the heart, the lungs, the liver, the stomach, the intestines, the pituitary, the pineal gland, and different ones. I test a whole bunch of those, and then we give them a number. How strong, how weak are they? Most people, so when they first come, is on a scale of 1 to 10, but they have to get, the higher the number, the stronger it is, so the better it is. They have to get up to a 20. You need to at least be up to a 20. I keep my numbers at around 100. Okay, so that's vitality. Okay, not just an absence of disease. Okay.
Wow.
And so I do have a good number of clients, because they like how they feel. Usually by about 20, they get like resolution from whatever they came in for. They're starting to get some resolution. It's at least noticeable. Okay, at around 20. And then once they hit 20, then they're starting to really jump and go fast. So then a lot of clients, they'll stay and they keep on coming, and then they get up to 50 and 60, and then I have several up to 100, and they like it there. They like feeling the vitality,
And with that, muscle testing, I believe we touched upon this before, that you need to do it in person for it to be most effective. Is that true?
Right. And I know there are those who do it remotely. I like to be accurate. I like to just do it in person. It's a little bit more solid. But I do want to go back to just one more point about the myocarditis, because I know that's quite prevalent. A lot is happening about that. And it's not, so if a person has myocarditis and then they get on their drugs and they stabilize, okay, and it's like, okay, well, now I'm okay. No, don't. They need to not think that way, because those who get myocarditis, 20%, this is from a medical profession, okay, that this information is, 20% would die within 5 years. Okay, wow. So if a person has myocarditis, they need to find someone that can work on a holistic level with them and resolve it. Okay. Or they're going to be in that 20%. They can be in that 20%. And these are young people, you know, a lot of them are young people, older people.
Wow. This is like shocking stuff. And you don't hear about this anywhere. We're out of time. We could probably do another 3 podcasts on heart health and
Can
issues.
I just mention some of the herbs then? I forgot to bring those up. Okay, so the most important one to know is cayenne. Okay, so cayenne pepper, and this is what I used for when I had my heart attack. It has over the years, so Dr. Christopher uses to bring people back from a heart attack. Like if a person is having a heart attack, you put droppers of this in their mouth and it revives them back. Okay, so cayenne is an herb that helps with anything to do with the blood. So it will help the blood to move faster, you know, for circulation. It will help the blood to clot when you need to clot. So like you can take, if you have a nosebleed, you take a teaspoon of the powder form in water, you drink it, count to 10, your nosebleed is gone. Okay, so this is very important for the heart. Okay, so like when I was having my issues, that this is the first thing I went to, and then I did some pressure point, and there was some other things, but this is what makes the difference.
Wow.
Okay. Hawthorn berry is another one. Hawthorn berry will strengthen the heart muscle. It will make the beats stronger in the right way so that the body is getting the blood that it needs. So hawthorn berry is a must for whenever there's heart issues. Okay, and it's very safe, and you can, like I still take my hawthorn berry. I've been on it for years because we all need a good strong heart, you know. So that's, you can, I have liquid form. We also have capsule form. Either way, doesn't matter. And then I also mentioned the Calm Heart. The other is we have this wild berry powder. This is two heart herbs. One is the hawthorn, of course. I always want people to have the hawthorn. And then there's bilberry. So bilberry helps with circulation. Okay. So this is excellent for when there's high blood pressure issues too. Okay. And then I do have another one. I don't have it with me, but it's another one for circulation, and it has a lot of cayenne too in it. So
out of all of those, would you say cayenne is like the most important one? And could you take it on a regular basis?
Yes, I would say cayenne would be the most important, especially for emergency. And yes, so like for a good while, I would take cayenne in the morning with some water and maybe put a little lemon juice in it. Or just straight cayenne. Yeah, every morning.
Interesting. Wow. And final question on the cayenne. Any conflicts with any other medications typically?
And not really, not that I would know of. It just increases the circulation. So, you know, one of the side effects might be you'd have to decrease your medication because now it's getting into your body more.
Wow. Yeah.
Which
and of course,
isn't a bad thing.
Yeah. And disclaimer, check with your medical profession before you try any of these.
Right.
But,
always.
Yeah.
Always check with your,
Somebody wants to check with you, Amy. Best way to find you? What's your website?
Herbs, the number 4, YOU.org.
Wow. Good stuff today. And very relatable. I've got, friends who have passed. My dad passed at 58 and he was perfectly healthy, just dropped. So all of this, it's really important to be mindful of. And certainly I'm intrigued about the muscle testing, what can be found from that. I think that's kind of underrated or underexposed, how important that is. Thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.